This is it. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with the OGs. Got Goldee and DJ Hard.
And most of that was the realization of what we about the programs about the Great Society, those programs that came about. And I saw those programs eviscerated. Those programs, in a sense, designed to bring great opportunities and great hope blasted only a short period of time.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes with the OGs. I'm Goldee, your West Coast co-host. I have my producer partner, DJ Hard, Shreveport, Louisiana. And we're here to present to y'all another dynamic show. So let's get on with it. And what's up with it, DJ?
Oh, man, in my screen share, I'm going to be sharing some information that Danny Glover had to say, on HR 40, the bill for reparations. And I can't wait until I get to your screen share, because in our last show, I want to say to my audience that, man, they didn't teach us a lot in school, man. I went to elementary school, junior high, high school, junior college, and college. And I didn't hear this information that Goldee had to present on our last show. And I can't wait to what he got to say on History Today.
Okay, sounds good. And yes, that's, absolutely right. The information that was one-sided came from this educational institution, these white folks, and it's gonna, the true information of our existence, the power, that we have as a people as a whole, and, who we truly are, the time that, we've been in America, confusion of, calling us different names, color, Negro, nigger, African American, all that stuff right there. That's what this black media that I'm making presentations on is dealing with. So we'll know who we are, what we belong to, where we come. So that's the only way we're gonna be able to, overcome dealing with the the issues that we've been dealing with all our existence, dealing with these folks. Dudes, move on to what we got our subject.
All right, we're gonna move on to the screen share. We're gonna take a quick break and gonna come on back. But right before that, I wanted to say this little one sentence that I got here. When it comes to programs, please explain to me how this program helps any black man 18 years and up financially improve his life. And in my screen share, Danny Glover touched upon it a little bit, because he has some experience with city government, and he's going to tell you what happened to that program that he was involved with. But over the last 50 years since the Civil Rights Movement, and that's why I'm concerned about this movement, HR 40 and bills like AB 3121, is to make sure that, somebody don't creep in and turn this into another program for women and children. Okay, there it is. If you're trying to fix a community and you're only helping 2/3 of a community, you're not learning from history. That started way back at the foundation of America. All right, you need all pieces of that third. The black man is a very important piece of that thing. Now, if you're looking for black role models to be mentors to young people in the neighborhood, and you look around and you have difficulty finding them, why? It's because for the last 50 years, you've been propping up everybody else besides the black man, and that's why the penitentiary is filled up with an overpopulation of black men there. All right, so we're gonna move on to our screen share and get down with some history. I can't wait. Y'all hang in here with us, subscribe, and like our show, because we're gonna try to really build our contribution to black media?
Since the time of history, the black man has been on the bottom of the totem pole. It was a divide and conquer method, you know what I'm saying, that was used to break up our families, to put us in lesser positions, to put fear in us, to do it in front of the women and our children. So that's why, you know what I'm saying, from that time on, you know what I'm saying, we have been the ones that have suffered the bulk of this demagogical existence what these people have been, you know what I'm saying, bringing to us. So we're going to move on, and we'll be right back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
I'm singing for peace, live long and free. This is it. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with the OGs. Got Goldee and DJ Hard.
Around doing this for a long, long time. I don't always get it right, but I always take responsibility. When I get it wrong, I acknowledge I got it wrong. But my overarching objective, if we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, this country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but this country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European.
That's important.
Throughout today's society of America, millions of so-called blacks or African Americans are settling for a complex description of their historical ethnicity based solely on the fictitious thoughts of particular strangers who were assigned with the responsibility of documenting a person's classification of race by the color of their skin in which they see, or their best personal opinion of what an individual should be generally racially classified as. These particular individuals were entitled as census enumerators, also known as census takers, or the U.S. Marshals, who are federally government unsupervised employees that was said to have allegedly gone from town to town, city to city, and door to door, deciding who was of what race, and then documented the families they meet as such. The marshals, or the census enumerators, had and still has a mammoth amount of influence on genealogy records. In fact, what they informally documented on a sheet of paper was literally based on their individual opinions, and then later deemed as official records that were sacrosanct, leading to hundreds of years of whatever the census takers' ideas of race were officially credited as historical facts of information. So, in simpler terms, these census takers were provided strict instructions by the government to record the ethnic category of various family members based on their perception of the family when they visited. So if you are attempting to find and interpret data about your family's history, these results can be confusing, especially if in one census your family has been recorded under the category all other free persons or slaves, and then free persons of color, then mulatto, and even black. During the earlier years of census taking, there were no categories for Indian at all, while in later census records, Indians were recorded all in one categoric group known as free people of color. Most census of today are mysteriously skipping the classification of race altogether, meaning that this particular portion of a birth certificate, for example, is purposely left blank, but only for people ranging from light to dark brown skin complexions. In part one of this segment, I shared congressional records uncommonly known by the public that details the truth about census records and why the choice of your family's classification of race was solely up to the individual census taker of that particular area and not your family members. The complexity of census records is in fact outrageously discombobulating, but still very utilitarian for research purposes and enthralling nonetheless. During the early half of the year 1790, Congress assigned full responsibility of census taking to the marshals of the U.S. judicial districts under an act that governed census taking through the years 1790 to 1840. It was then called the 1790 Census Act, having been signed by then President George Washington, Vice President John Adams, and the Speaker of the House, Frederick Muhlenberg, on March 1st, 1790. During this time period, there were many open political debates about who should be counted, and they also struggled with the idea of allowing indentured servants to be counted equally as the same as free whites. There was an economic structure already in place to this entire governmental construct that was not limited to taxation only, which sparked the debate with Northerners wanting slaves or indentured servants to be counted as equivalent of free whites, as the Southerners did not. And August 2nd, 1790 marked the date of the official census day. According to the Census Bureau, the 1790 law required that, quote, every household be visited, that completed census schedules be posted in two of the most public places within each jurisdiction, there to remain for the inspection of all concerned, and that the aggregate amount of each description of persons for every district be transmitted to the president. Census enumerators were required to record a total of 6 inquiries in the 1790 census, calling for the names of the heads of each household and the number of persons in each household of the following descriptions: free white males 16 years and older, free white males under 16 years old, free white females, all other free, and slaves. The marshals, or census enumerators, were instructed to identify free white males by age brackets. It was noted that this tactic was designed to determine the country's industrial and military capabilities, and whoever refused to answer the enumerators' questions, were assessed a hefty fine of $25 at that time. Under the general direction of the Secretary of State, Thomas Jefferson, the marshals took the census in the original 13 states, plus the districts of Kentucky, Maine, Vermont, and Tennessee. Both George Washington and Thomas Jefferson expressed skepticism over the final count, expecting a number that exceeded the 3.9 million inhabitants counted during the close of the 1790 census. So I must ask, what number did George Washington and Thomas Jefferson expect to see at the end of taking the 1790 census? Leave your comments down below and tell me what you think. And what is also important to note here is that there were various census instructions given to the census takers concerning Indians during the early 1790s and even throughout the 1800s that I want to go over with you. Starting in the 1790s, census takers were notified of instructional specifications stating, quote, omitting Indians not taxed, distinguishing free persons, including those bound to service, from all others. During the year 1800, these instructions were slightly adjusted, stating that Indians living off of reservations and not wild should be recorded in the all other free persons column of the census form. The 1800 census classification options were free white, slave, and all other free persons. So we can easily determine that they have added the word persons to the already established category, all other free, which was used in the 1790 census 10 years prior. Interesting enough, the Indians living in the wild, generally meaning plains, and the Indians in the West, or on reservations, were not taxed, but those who were enumerated were recorded in the all other free column in the 1790 census. Once the Constitution called for a census of all persons excluding Indians not taxed, many other adjustments were made towards the classifications taken by the enumerators, mainly due to the sole purpose of apportioning seats in the House of Representatives and assessing direct federal taxes. On March 2nd, 1807, then President Thomas Jefferson signed an act to prohibit the importation of slaves into any port or place with the jurisdiction of the United States. This act deemed it unlawful to, quote, import or bring into the United States or the territories thereof from any foreign kingdom, place, or country any Negro, mulatto, or person of color with intent to hold, sell, or dispose of such Negro, mulatto, or person of color as a slave, or to be held to service or labor, end quote. This act came into effect as of January 1st, 1808. Keep that in mind. These familiar terms that I just mentioned, like Negro, mulatto, and person of color, were not used as the official classifications of race on the census during this time period of 1808. In fact, just 2 years later, in 1810, there were very few adjustments made to this third census, making Indians living off of reservations now recorded in the all others column of the census form. This time around, the options were free white, slave, and all other, in replacement for the 1790 and 1800 census option that read all other free and all other free persons.
So, that right there is, that's, you could just do your own research and look it up if you want to continue to get more information on this film right here. We didn't quite get 15 minutes, but we can move on to your share. Want to?
Okay, we're going to end this segment and we're going to switch to my screen share in a moment. We'll be right back.
2 minutes, 2 seconds.
This is it. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with the OGs. Got Goldee and DJ Hard.
All right, we are back from our little 2-minute break, and we're fixing to move on to DJ Hard. He's fixing to do his screen share on Danny Glover and his information on reparation. Let's proceed on.
All right, here we go. Let me see if I get it set up. Okay, I want to start off. Goldee, give me a hand here. I just want you to read this first paragraph dealing with HR 40 so everybody be informed on that.
Okay, this is 116th Congress, first session, HR 40, the address of the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and they established commission to study and consider a national apology and proposal for reparation for the institution of slavery. Its subsequent de jure and de facto racial and economic discrimination against African Americans and the impact of these forces on living African Americans, to the recommendations to the Congress on appropriate remedies and for other purposes.
All right, now, since you're in California, I want you to just highlight this little part here on California, because this is a California reparation thing right here.
This is Assembly Bill 3121, Chapter 319, an act to add and repeal Chapter 4.5, commencing with Section 8301 of Division 1 of Title 2 of the Government Code relating to the state government.
All right, wait, take a pause right here. Now, here's the next section right here. Read that.
AB 3121 Weber Task Force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans. Existing law requests the region of the University of California to assemble a collaboratorium of scholars to draft a research proposal to analyze the economic benefits of slavery that occurred to owners and the businesses, including insurance companies and their subsidiaries that receive those benefits, and to make recommendations to the legislature regarding those findings.
All right, we're going to hold up right there. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this program so you can find these particular issues for yourself, and you can read the whole document. Matter of fact, they're not very long, so you can get through it pretty easy. All right, so I just wanted to let you know what's going on in the federal level and the state level in relationship to California, where my co-host resides. So now we're going to get on down to what Danny Glover say, about reparations, and he's going to be coming up pretty quick here. All right, we're going to start it right here.
Next witness is Mr. Danny Glover, actor, producer, and an activist in various causes. He's currently Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF, chairman of the board of Trans-Africa Forum, an African-American lobbying organization for Africa and the Caribbean, and a friend of Harry Belafonte. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Coates. It's not often that you hear the words of a young man and they enliven your emotional memory, your historic memory, as he just did in this moment. Thank you so much. I am deeply honored to be here today, offering my testimony in this historic meeting about the reckoning of a crime against humanity that is foundational to the development of democracy and material well-being in this country. The national reparations policy is a moral, democratic, and economic imperative. I sit here as the great-grandson of a former slave, Mary Brown, who was freed by the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. I had the fortune of meeting her as a small child. I also sit here as the grandson of Reese May Huntley and Rufus Mack Huntley. My maternal grandparents who were both born before Plessy versus Ferguson, Supreme Court decision in 1896. And for a significant portion of their lives, they worked as sharecroppers and tenant farmers in rural Georgia until they were able to save enough money to purchase a small farm. They were successful farmers. Despite much progress over the centuries, this hearing is yet another important step in the long and heroic struggle of African Americans to secure reparations for the damages inflicted by enslavement and post-emancipation and racial exclusionary policies. Many of the organizations who are present today at this hearing are amongst the historical contributors to the present national discourse, congressional deliberations, and Democratic Party presidential campaign policy discussions about reparations. We are also indebted to the work of Congressman John Conyers for shepherding this legislation. The adoption of H.R. 40 can be a signature legislative achievement, especially within the context of the United Nations International Decade of People of African Descent. We should also note that the Common Market Nations and the Caribbean Community CARICOM Reparations Commission, chaired by Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, who is here with us today, has exercised a leadership role from which we as a nation can benefit. Our sustained, direct, effective policy actions in full collaboration with African Americans and progressive citizens, allies, is the ultimate proof of the sincerity of our national commitment to repair the damages of the legally and often religiously sanctioned inhumanity of slavery, segregation, and current structural racism that limit full democratic participation and material advancement of African Americans and of our country's progress as a beacon of justice and equality. So I call on all of the elected public officials in Congress to demonstrate your commitment in action today and stand forth with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and co-sign H.R. 40. In closing, with the insightful and still relevant words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. And I quote, "Why is the issue of equality still so far from solution in America? A nation which professes itself to be democratic, inventive, hospitable to new ideas, rich, productive, and ultimately powerful. Justice for Black people will not flow into society merely from court decisions, nor from fountains of political oratory, nor will a few token changes quell all the tempestuous yearnings of millions of disadvantaged Black people. White America must recognize that justice for Black people cannot be achieved without radical changes in the structure of our society. The comfortable, the entrenched, the privileged cannot continue to tremble at the prospect of change in the status quo." Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I want to stop it right there and move to the next part of the screen share where Danny Glover kind of highlights my particular point that I brought out. When it comes to program, please explain to me how this program helps any Black man 18 years and up financially improve his life. All right, now let's move on to that so we can get to his next commentary on reparation. And let me say, that when you go testify in these, meetings with Congress and stuff like that, you're under oath to tell the truth, So let's evaluate this as some real information based on truth.
Just want to emphasize, at what point can we in this country have a conversation about race? We will never get past it until we can have the conversation. And the conversation begins with the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize.
Let me have a word, please. Because I wear several hats. And certainly most people consider me one hat and know which one the hat I wear is an artist, an activist, and an artist. But I worked in city government for 6.5 years in 1971 in the Model Cities program in San Francisco, California, under the mayor's office there, Joseph Allione. 6.5 years. I worked both in the mission and African American community at that particular point in time. And most of that was the realization of what we about the programs about the Great Society, those programs that came about. And I saw those programs eviscerated. Those programs, in a sense, designed to bring great opportunities and great hope blasted only a short period of time. So I understand that because I've lived in the same community my entire life in San Francisco. My mother, a migrant, someone who met my father and came to San Francisco after World War II. They had decent jobs. They worked for the post office from 1948. They were able to raise a family on that income as well. They were able to eventually buy a house in the same neighborhood that I live in right now. They were part of that generation who were the first beneficiaries of the upcoming and ongoing civil rights movement. I've watched that city and worked in that city, and I'm just talking about the city of San Francisco, this liberal city that has this great tradition around labor and everything else. We talk about Harry Bridges and what he did in longshoremen, bringing African Americans longshoremen. And then I've watched the evisceration of the cities and people's lives because of crack cocaine and mass incarceration as well, right in my neighborhood, right in my family and all that. So those are the kind of long-term impacts that we don't realize is happening. Those children were the descendants, not only slaves, but the descendants of those generations who had the opportunities after World War II. Those children did not have the same opportunities. And now those children are abandoned as adults in that city, in that great city. So I think we have to kind of look at this as people said often, that this is just a study, a look at racism and all of its manifestation in terms of gentrification as well. I was in the Fillmore area in 1966, going to Western District Community Organization meetings where people were just desperate to find different ways in which they were not being removed from their community. These are real issues that happen. They're long-standing issues that go back and find themselves resonating in slavery. And going further than that, all the material that we have, all the books that we have now, all the studies that have been done has outlined that. We have to begin to tell ourselves the truth. James Baldwin, the great writer, once said, if we cannot tell ourselves the truth about past, we become trapped in it. And that's what we are. We're trapped in it. This country is trapped in the truth. They're not telling the truth. And we got to find that. We got to start that as a leverage right there. Begin that we talk about anyway, however. We talk about education. Moses has talked about math literacy is important. And most children, particularly children of color, are prepared for math literacy. We have to talk about education and preparing our children for 21st century citizenship. And that's what it is. And this is what this is talking about. If we raise of those people who've been most disadvantaged historically, we create a better country here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Man, Hey, he really touched upon it. And so this is going to end my screen share. We're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back with our critiques of our screen share and some of the information that was presented in our screen share. And y'all just hang on with us. We'll be right back in
2 minutes, 2 seconds.
This is it. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with the OGs. Got Goldee and DJ Hart.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with the OGs. We're at the part of our show where we're going to critique our information, our screen sharing, and give you our personal point of view on how we see it. And as far as my presentation dealing with the census, Dan Calloway, he's just trying to show, that how all this came about as far as us knowing who we truly are, and the way they did the census, and how it even boiled down to the point where people was claiming to be white that wasn't even white people because of the way they had designed that census system. And at the same time, the true identity of the indigenous Aborigine people was, swept up under the rug, and they gave another race of people, that identity. So I suggest that that you do your own research, and that's a very good film for you to go to get this information. I'm glad to see that Danny Glover, is doing his part, as a Aborigine man, and he's trying to stand up and represent, the necessity that these people right their wrong, of what they have done to our people in particular, because they have, made up to other people that they have wronged. So what's up, DJ?
Oh man, I want to thank you for presenting that information on the census and how they got started way back when in 1790s. In some areas way back then, they had more black people than white people, and so
they still do right now. Just as a matter of fact, in my presentation, Biden said if by 2040 a pure white race is not going to no longer be in existence, and that's because their sperm count has went down, and so we always have outnumbered them. But the lie, was to keep us thinking that it's been the other way around.
Well, I think it also has something to do with the current immigration policies, and that we got refugees and immigrants coming from all different places in the world. All right, so when you think about all them different minorities, they started coming up with numbers. I mean, colors: yellow, brown, black. Asian. Indian and Haitians and Hispanic, man, just name the different race of peoples that's coming to America, So that's part of the reason why I think Biden has made that statement, because if you think about people of strictly white lineage, that hasn't, had children by people of other races, that's going to create that minority.
It already had.
Yeah,
That's why
well,
he
it's
said
going to
what he
continue.
said.
It's going to continue like that. It's going to continue like
Well,
that.
that's why he said he put the time on it. Shit,
But at the
2040.
same time, in the previous show, what is all this stuff about HR 40, AB 3121, and in the discussion about reparation is about? It's about the wealth gap. It's getting bigger and bigger. All right, so we got a 1% of the population, or 3% of the population, have more money and more value than all the rest of the people in the United States combined. So that's part of the problem. It's like the wealth is not being distributed. And if you think about it, if you have abundance, well, in some cases, these people getting up in the billionaire brackets, that's almost like an unlimited amount of money to invest. All right, because not only do you have your cash or liquid assets, you have hard assets, like equipment, buildings, businesses, land. All right, you have those kind of assets that you can leverage for loans. All right, so then they could take that money and see another idea and have the money to invest in that. So creating bigger and bigger monopolies. So United States used to be concerned about that, but I think nowadays, it seems like they're encouraging monopolies. So,
well, I don't know when there was a time when they was concerned about that. When was that? What was they concerned about?
Well, one of these days, maybe if I run across some silent information, I'll highlight the time period where. But I heard, different things that was, especially when it comes to the telecommunication industry. At one time, they was concerned about these telecommunication industries gobbling off all the small telecom businesses. All right, so they was trying to stop these monopolies, but now it seems like they're not doing
about that because this is a capitalistic system, and that's how it goes. It's all about the money. Who got the money? They're able to overthrow the little man. So it's always been like that as far as gun knowledge.
Well, not only that, you think about it, during Trump, they talked about these slush funds, political slush funds that was available, that was funding campaigns indirectly and directly, donate to politicians' campaigns because they was able to raise so much money. From these rich people, and they would donate that money to these organizations, and then that information was kept secret about who was funding these organizations, and they take that and buy commercials or give it to the politicians to help fund their campaign. So today we are concerned about that in this program because as the wealth gap continues to increase. All right. Then one of our black people that was involved with the civil rights movement and stuff like that said, all right, political power will soon diminish without economic strength. So here it is, we're trying to have a lot of political power without economic strength. So that economic strength means that you can buy some commercials to help promote your campaign. All right. That means that you can hire people that know how to work social media and get your social media program together. All right. So without the economics, there's so many things that you can't buy. You might, if you don't have the economics, you won't even be able to rent a headquarters for your campaign headquarters. All right. You won't be able to have a campaign victory party without economics. So economics is so important, and in our previous shows we have presented the wealth gap. And let me tell you, even before what Biden was talking about, right now, what's going on today is that we are in an economic flat line today, and the prediction is that I saw for the next 5 years we will continue to flat line. All right, so that's why the conversation about reparation is so important to our communities, because we're losing political strength, we're losing our voice, because your voice, you might need to pay for advertising. We even have to pay for advertising occasionally. Occasionally, we run some advertising experiments to try to help communicate the ideas that we have. All right, so it's very important that we be concerned about economics.
That's a fact. And so yeah, these when it comes down to reparation, they too much stuck on speaking on a study. We already showed that this has been going on for at least 30-some years already. The so-called study, are people looking into it or being on somebody's mind? Now, things is at the point to where everybody recognizes the real and the truth about what our people have been dealing with and going through, our economical level of existence on this earth. And so, it's study is everything is out in the open. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? Slavery actually did exist. So the study is just, to me, it's just a manipulation of, shaking things, trying to put stuff to the side. And that's where we as a people come in at, we need to come together collectively as a people and, push the line that, and understand and recognize that, this is something that's owed to us. And this is something to present, to prevent, all the madness that's been going on with our people. So yeah, that's my point of view.
Well, okay. The one thing about the study, that's a delayed tactic, man. That's the way I'll be looking at it, man. It's one way to drag it out. Okay, now some good things could come out of it. Is that, we have government sanctioned verification of certain historical documents. But I'm telling you, some things, that I've been hearing that people want to throw into the reparation package don't need to be there. When it comes to education, we already have an educational system. All we got to do is make it accessible, not just to blacks. When it comes to education, it is everybody in the United States that needs to be educated. So make that education so much of your college, like the first 4 years of your college education, make that free. Make it free for every Black person in America to be able to go to a 2-year college and get a 2-year degree for free. All right, at least the first 2 years of that, and then you got a 4-year degree that you can grab for free. And if you want to go past that, that's what you need to use your education for, is to try to help you make some money so you can pay for your master's and your doctorates, your PhD. All right, so those are the higher end things. All right, now at the same time, I want to say, don't be dependent on all these PhD people who have had a wonderful life all their life. All right, that don't feel the pressures that people like me, that's talking about. Let's get down to the money and Black Lives Matter, man. I'm telling you, because in that study, they need to be figuring out, we went a little bit over time. All right, but this thing is so important, we need a little bit more time. All right, because in that study, they should be studying the distribution program, designing the distribution program for whatever benefits that they decide to release to us. All right. So that should be covered in the study. So why do we have behind the scenes with the OGs? To make sure that we inform the public, these politicians, and everybody in America what's going on in our neighborhood and how we feel. All right. You need to represent us for real. That means listen to us. Please hear the facts, all right, that we're trying to present to you historically, because they're going to be dependent on historical records when they, as they study, all right. As Danny Glover has said, the studies have already been done. We got books and books, and even Dan Calloway, he is constantly putting out more and more information. So information is here today. When do we need reparations? We need it right now, so we can make America great right now.
Not now, but right now.
Right now.
That's,
because I don't know what Trump was talking about. Let me get in a joke. We need one joke. I don't know what Trump was talking about, making America great again. Hey, look, for the last 50 years, since the time of my awareness, I ain't never felt that way. So let me say that we need to feel like that and make it come true today with reparations. Make America great today and in the future.
Well, beyond a shadow of doubt, we need to be feeling like that, and so yeah, that's true. My thing is that we need to just prove that you recognize what's really going on. You recognize the insult that y'all have brought up against us, and face it, man. Our blood, sweat, and tears, went into building this country to be what it is. Y'all went to Africa, y'all stole the land from Africa. Then you put people in slave ships, and brought them over here to America. You still dogged them out. You still, did treacherous stuff to us. You still got us at the bottom of the totem pole. But yet you want to get up there and say that, you want to study this.
Well,
come on.
In the presentation today, when you was dealing with the historical part, right? And George Washington, he made it illegal. What was that? 1807, illegal to import, slaves into America. Well, let me say, I think they broke that law over and over again, and the United States looked the other way for.
That's right.
For another 60 years. Another 60 years, they just allowed the importing of African slaves. All right. So, now, wait a minute. You talk about the land. They took the land and what was under the land. All right. They took the raw materials, the gold, the diamonds, the oil, everything of value that they could get their hands on in Africa. And let me tell you, they still got their hands in it today. All right. So let America be the example that will make the world better. When we fix reparations in America, we're going to help be the example that we're supposed to be and fix the world. So we will not have all these people coming to America saying, I'm a political refugee. Always claiming that refugee status, right? Well, let us fix the problems here in America, teach them people that it can be done elsewhere, so they will fix the problems in their nations and they will have no reason to come to America. If you want to solve the integration problem, solve reparations and be the example to the world, man, and you will solve. Nobody will be crossing the border. You feel me? They'll stay at home because they can make their living at home.
Yeah.
Huh? Think about it like that.
Well, that's a good way to think about it, you know. So I said we just, you know, gotta just keep hanging there and you know, keep on putting the information out because this is a topic that's very popular and it should be discussed amongst our people daily, you know, so the point to where we really got to start making the moves on stuff. We can't just sit around talking about studies on stuff and you know, just be stagnated on it. You know, we got to get past that. Move on it. Y'all move on it. That's on y'all. Y'all move on it. Y'all do your part. You know what I'm saying? Our part is becoming aware of what's really going on and who we truly are and what truly belongs to us. So, you know, we coming at you, you know what I'm saying, in a peaceful way to, you know, try to get this resolved. Y'all get on top of this and let's get this done, man. Let's just get us our money.
Yeah, send us the check. But I want to say one more thing, you know, before I go, we get ready to wrap up this show. Let me tell you something that I'm noticing. Our biggest weakness as a community is our silence. That's our biggest weakness. All right. So when you lift your voice, you don't need to wait around for somebody to come up with a march. All right. That you go join with a bunch of other people to lift your voice. You can lift your voice right here today by leaving a comment. Understand what freedom of speech is, freedom of the press is. When you write your comments on this show, then you are letting the world know how you feel. Your silence, you should consider your silence, your refusal to speak up for your community, your greatest weakness, your greatest enemy. The enemy is inside of you, your silence. Speak up. Live like a free person because you are. Be a free person and express yourself like an American should do. All right, that's what we're trying to do. This is Black Media trying to tell you, hey, maybe the name is incorrect, but you need to say something. You need to express your opinion. And if you got some facts to back it up, we're looking for that.
That's absolutely, you're absolutely right. And, you know, we got to stop, you know, saying keeping things hush hush. You know, our ancestors, our grandparents and stuff like that, you know, they didn't want to, you know, speak on the real and truth. They wanted to keep that. I guess they felt that some kind of way, you know, saying that was going to keep danger off of us, but it put more dangers on us by us not knowing the facts of this life that they already knew and experienced and lived. We live in it too, but it's on a different form, a different level of how we deal with it. But besides that, I want to give a shout out to Mini Bike Legacy. You know, come on out, you know what I'm saying? Check us out. You know, if you want to ride in style and profile, you know, hit us up, Mini Bike Legacy. I want to give a shout out to Sasha Banks for her return to SmackDown. She had a tag team match with Bianca Blair, and they won the match. And but Sasha Banks at the end of the match, she ended up, you know what I'm saying, attacking, you know, her tag team partner, Bianca. And because Sasha is the boss, and she let her know, you know, you got a belt right now, but I'm the boss. You know what I'm saying? Sasha actually ended the match with the win herself. So, you know what I'm saying, she's letting it be known she's the boss, but she's still strong up in the game, and she's still a winner. They got two more beautiful sisters, Fire and Flavor. Oh, them sisters is bad. You know, so I give a shout out to them. Give a shout out to my family here. You know what I'm saying, on the West Coast, also Detroit, East Coast. You know, San Antonio, my son and grandkids, San Antonio, Texas. Shout out to y'all too. And yeah, you know, don't forget to like and subscribe to our show. You know what I'm saying? And stay participating, stay checking us out. You know, and we're trying to just bring on as much media from the hood as we possibly can, just to show and let y'all know. You know, so just because we're in the hood, don't think, you know what I'm saying, that we're not on top of the politics of what's happening with us in our life. So,
Yeah.
take off, DJ.
Oh man, I want to thank my #1 music fans, and they've been loving my music, man. I got a track in here called "On My Way," boy. This smoking, man, you know. And look, I'm gonna have some special things that I'm trying to do with my music. I'm working on my New Year's Party album now, just for my fans, because they study asking, when you gonna have a new release? But so I had to tell them, because of the schedule that we have with behind the scenes with the OGs, I'm only able to put out about 2 or 3 albums a year. Joining and following me on Bandcamp, because that's where it's going to be available. That's my plan. I'm sticking to it unless they change the program around. All right, so as I get ready to design this program, it's a significant investment, so you don't have to wait until then to start investing into a small Black business. You can buy a download today, all right? And if you ever catch us, please support us also by getting your T-shirt. Money and Black Lives Matter, because I'm telling you, that's the hot topic of the day. Don't let everybody distract you. But that's the hot topic of today. Money and Black Lives Matter. That's my way of saying reparations right now. That's what we need, because we need everything we can do. I mean, we need resources to invest in business, Let me tell you, what's wrong with having a headquarters, So I'm trying to design a headquarters for my music business, and it's a significant investment, and I hope that my fans and customers will help me achieve my goals. So that's what it's all about. That's enough with the promotion about my music. I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to our show. I want to thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show, and y'all come back now. This is DJ Hart saying good night, and please don't drive drunk.
Good night. And we'll see you on the next edition. Thank you. Peace.